Welcome to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're tackling a topic that can honestly transform how your entire team operates. We're getting into the fascinating minds of the deep thinkers in our workplaces. We're going to break down exactly how these folks process the world, the incredible value they bring to the table, and most importantly, how to manage them so they really thrive. If you've ever felt like someone on your team is operating on just an entirely different mental wavelength, well, you are in exactly the right place. So let's just get right into it. So who is the philosopher on your team? Go ahead and picture that specific colleague. You know exactly who I'm talking about. While everyone else in a meeting is just rapid-firing ideas, this person is sitting back, absorbing it all. They always pause to process internally before they speak or act. They rarely give you that immediate reaction, but man, when they finally do speak, it completely shifts the perspective of the entire room. Got someone like that in mind? Good. Hold on to that thought as we move forward.
Section 1. Defining the intellection theme.
Now, the ideas in today's explainer are anchored right in the SwitchOn Strengths framework. This framework is just brilliant at breaking down personality and working styles into really distinct themes. It helps us move from simply observing someone's behavior to actually understanding the mechanics behind why they do what they do. So, what exactly is this intellection theme? Well, at its core, these are deeply thoughtful, introspective individuals. They are uniquely energized by reflecting on ideas, complex concepts, and, deeper meaning. While some of us get our energy from taking immediate action or just socializing, people with high intellection are energized by the sheer act of contemplation itself. They're your naturally philosophical, analytical team members who genuinely just love intellectual exploration. In our modern workplace, which is full of constant pings and immediate demands, they really stand out. Because for them, thinking actually is doing. Drilling deep, plumbing the depths. Think about that metaphor for a second. Most of us operate right on the surface of a problem, right? We're trying to find the quickest fix so we can just move on to the next task. But an individual with the intellection trait has this natural tendency to explore way beneath that surface. Imagine a sudden market shift. While everyone else is scrambling to react and change tactics right this second, your intellection team member is digging into historical data and underlying psychology to find the root cause. They don't just want to know what's happening, they're incredibly driven to understand why it's happening and what it means in the grand scheme of things.
Section 2. The value of deep thinking.
When this trait is managed well and operating at its absolute best, what the framework actually calls the balcony, well, incredible things happen. That deep and thoughtful processing leads to incredibly strong intellectual insight. Because they actually take the time to reflect, they develop genuine wisdom. Consider a scenario where your company is facing this massive, convoluted software rollout. Everyone else is panicking over the countless moving parts, totally caught up in the confusion. But your intellection team member, they've quietly taken a step back, mentally untangled that massive knot, and suddenly they can explain the core architecture super simply to the rest of the group. Their ultimate superpower is navigating complexity really carefully to bring absolute clarity to everyday conversations.
Section 3. Blind spots and the basement.
It's fascinating how internal behavior maps to external perception. Because these folks process everything internally, they might retreat into their own thoughts, which is the basement behavior. But the resulting blind spot? The rest of the team perceives them as isolated, aloof, or even emotionally distant. I mean, they might just be thinking deeply about a strategic pivot, but to you, it looks like they're totally disengaged. Plus, their love for complexity can lead to overthinking, which then overcomplicates discussions. And that desire to truly plumb the depths can delay decisions through just excessive analysis. We've all been there, right? That dreaded analysis paralysis that drives project managers absolutely crazy. The deadline was yesterday, but the deep thinker is still weighing variable number 42. If we don't manage this trait, their greatest strength literally becomes a massive bottleneck for the team.
Section 4. What intellection needs.
To help these individuals truly thrive, to hit that discover, activate, thrive cycle, we can't just expect them to adapt to a fast-paced, shoot-from-the-hip work culture. We actually have to cater to their specific environmental needs.
So, here are the essential, non-negotiable needs for someone high in intellection. They absolutely need quiet time for reflection and opportunities for really deep, meaningful discussion. Don't hand them simple, mundane tasks. Give them the complex, meaty topics to explore. But the absolute game changer for management is this: information provided in advance. If you surprise an intellection person in a meeting, put them on the spot, and demand some immediate strategic answer, you are going to get their worst work. They'll freeze up, or they'll just give a generic response because they haven't had time to process. But if you send them the agenda and the core questions just 24 hours in advance, oh man, they'll come to that meeting with fully fleshed out insights that'll completely blow you away.
Section 5. Theme contrasts and takeaways. Let's look at the nuance between two traits that might actually seem similar on the surface. Someone with intellection brings an inquiring approach. Contrast that with a completely different personality type from the framework called the input theme, which brings an acquiring approach. Someone with high input just wants to gather information. They're the ultimate collectors of facts, articles, data, the whole shebang. They want to know a little bit about everything. But intellection doesn't just want to collect information, they want to contemplate it. They want to sit with a single profound idea for a week. They prioritize internal understanding and philosophical meaning way over simply hoarding facts. We see another really fascinating contrast when we compare them to the restorative theme. Intellection thinks about concepts that need to be understood. The restorative trait, on the other hand, thinks about problems that need to be solved. They are your rapid response fixers. When they see a fire, they immediately grab the extinguisher and put it out. But your intellection colleague? They want to understand the chemical composition of the fire, the architectural history of the building, and, why the fire started in the first place before they even think about grabbing an extinguisher. They heavily favor deep understanding over immediate problem solving. Which brings us to our core takeaway from the SwitchOn Strengths material. These individuals are, without a doubt, your team's greatest asset for uncovering insights that everyone else completely overlooks. They are basically the anchor of wisdom in a fast-paced corporate world, but only provided they're managed correctly, given information in advance, and afforded the quiet space they desperately need to do what they do best: think. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to ponder. Are you giving your deep thinkers the time they need to surface their wisdom? Or are your meetings and deadlines inadvertently forcing them into the basement? Think back to that colleague we pictured at the very beginning of this explainer. What is one change you could make tomorrow, maybe just sending an agenda a day early, to unlock their full potential? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the intellection theme. Keep exploring, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.